So last time I decided to play the Elden Ring Ultimate Randomizer and some crazy stuff happened there. Let's do a quick recap about the challenge. Enemies are random, objects are random, and there are 118 fog gates across the map that bring me to random places. To beat the game, I have to do the following. Acquire 2 great roots, burn the air tree at the Forge of the Giants, which I have already done, check out the first video, find Maliketh and steal Destined Death, and find the entrance of the air tree and beat the final boss there. All good? Great. So buckle up, get a treat, because we are in for a wild ride.
Oh shit, here we go again.
After leaving the Academy of Raya Lucaria, our quest to become Elden Lord of the Lands Between was yet in another dead end. So I returned to Farum Azula as I realized I hadn't explored all that I could have explored in the pilgrimage destination of the Godskin duo. And whoa, let me stop you right there. Last time we were burning the air tree, what has happened? That's a good observation. Well, during one of my recording sessions, my city decided it would be fun to leave half of my building without electricity with intermittent cuts, so I lost almost 2 hours of footage. Here you have a dumb and tiresome edit made by Weskis of what happened during that lost gameplay. I basically explored yet again the Lindell sewers for an insufferable amount of time until I reached the end, which led me to Mogwin's temple, where Godric the Grafted awaited me. I defeated him swiftly and moved on to the Academy of Raya Lucaria, which served for very little as it was full of dead ends. However, one fog gate led to the other side of the Flame Peak, and so we are now free to explore yet another late game area. Man, are we going to reach Limgrave someday? Who knows? On my winter vacation at the mountaintops of the Giants, I came across an old castle and decided to pay a visit since I wanted to loot the place and search for goodies. However, something very awkward happened, as I found there Eleonora, the true owner of the blade I carry. We had a friendly exchange several times until I decided it was enough and kept exploring. I killed Preceptor Miriam, who is an absolute asshole in the base game, so he had it coming, and I reached an area where random enemies fell off the sky and gave me roughly 20k runes for doing nothing. So the next step was kind of obvious. I went to Castle Sol and decided that after my rough visit on the last castle, this one surely had to pay the price of my anger. I murdered everything that dare oppose me, but my efforts were meaningless, as I had reached yet another dead end in my quest to become Elden Lord. However, I found something very useful, a grace close enough to the falling enemies that gave me 20k runes. So this was huge. It meant that I had a free XP farm if I ever needed one. With that information, and maybe almost a million runes that I farmed by vigorously sitting up on a grace repeatedly, I wandered in the lands between without a clear route in my mind. Basically, I was stuck. This situation lasted for quite some time after I realized that, a while ago, I got some items related to Ranni's quest. So maybe, just maybe... Oh yeah! I fought the Dragon King Soldier, Cosmic Horror Edition, and I arrived at Lindell, the soon-to-be Ashes capital. Spent my time in the capital visiting the historical landmarks, trying the local cuisine, meeting the amicable citizens, and looting the place like I was about to become the Pirate King. I visited the not-so-magic version of the Round Table Hold, and when I got bored of that, I went up to the vines and reached the next fog gate. I was very surprised to land in Caelid, right next to Radahn's arena. Unfortunately, you need to warp through a small gate to get to the actual arena, and those may be randomized too, so I don't think we're making it. Oh? Well, I guess this is my lucky day. The festival has begun. I summon thee, warriors in search of the glory, to commemorate the battle that brought Caelid to its knees. Come on!
For Frodo.
Charge!
This is why this randomizer is so cool. We're fighting Malenia here, just like in the story trailer with the boys. Good times, good times. But let's focus on the important stuff. Yeah, I was very lucky, as having the toughest boss beyond the festival grounds allowed me to summon the boys and tell her what's what. That was, at least, the first phase. The second phase, however, obliterated all my allies within the span of a second, and then I was on my own, battling desperately against the goddess of rot. And you already know how that went. It was a fierce battle, but finally, after many tries, I managed to bring down the blade of Mikela, and look at that, I got Radan's Great Rune. Now that is a good reward, as I only need another one to complete the game. Also, I noticed the stars began to move, but surely this is not important. Back in regular Lindel, I went to the entrance fog gate as I hadn't checked it yet, and I appeared at the Mimic tier boss arena, but there was a noble beast awaiting me instead. I came from being victorious against Malenia, so you can bet I defeated the beast without breaking a sweat. And to my surprise, I was rewarded with Rykard's Great Rune. So that's it. If I defeated whoever is in Maliketh's arena in Farum Azula, and I found the entrance to the Erdtree, then I was done. At this point, I imagined it would be funny to beat the game without ever stepping in Limgrave or Liurnia, as my playtime clocked in at 12 hours and 30 minutes and I still hadn't seen neither of them. And speaking about that, hey, these videos take a lot of effort and a lot of time, and you clearly like them since you've made it so far. So how about hitting the subscribe button? Don't feel guilty. I know the main reason you haven't done it yet is because this is just some background noise to have while doing other stuff. Do not worry. I wait for you to come pick up your phone and subscribe. Where were we? Oh yeah, defeating Malenia, getting the first Great Rune, defeating the Ancestor Spirit, getting the second Great Rune. Well, a new fog gate had opened up, so I obviously dived in to see where it would bring me, and well, how lucky can one person be? I found it! Right after 2 Great Runes. It was Maliketh's arena, and good old General Radan was in it. Our battle would be
legendary.
After the general fell, Loretta came to avenge him, but the Carian Royal Horse Rider was no match against my magnificent blade, that I definitely didn't steal from Eleonora. The battle concluded shortly after, and I covered Destined Death, so now it was only a matter of finding the entrance to the Erdtree. After my productive trip and with 2 Great Runes under my belt, I decided it was time to return to Lindel, do a little bit more of tourism, and try to reach the royal sewers from the other side. I stumbled upon the fog gate after a bit, and to my delight, I was warped to the Three Sisters location. Listen, I am not a happy man because I can now talk to Rani and her gang, my boy Iji and that scumbag called Soluvis. I am happy because this means that I now have access to a ton of places, and I can even reach Limgrave if I want to. My quest to become Elden Lord was clearly coming to an end. Or was it? I paid a visit to the Carian Manor, and I ended up at the Volcania Manor. Huh. There I faced
And Sir Gideon Othniel, the all-knowing,
who was appropriately dressed as a Godskin noble. Our battle didn't last for much, and I was free to explore Mount Gelmir and the outskirts of the manor. However, the manor didn't bring me to any interesting places and, in fact, returned me to Liurnia. So after talking again to Rani, I ended up at the Ainsel River and made my way to Noxtella, battling hordes of enemies to keep descending in search of the Erdtree. I crossed the infamous Lake of Rot, not without dying, of course, and reached the horrible depths in which the Scarlet Rot was originally sealed. I used a coffin that was weirdly placed there to chill for a bit, and woke up back in Lindel, just like in a Hangover movie. I decided to return to Ainsel and check an area that I hadn't explored yet, and look at that! It's Renala, and weirdly fitting, must I say. Without being able to run away, she was a complete joke, and so she was quickly defeated, but not Great Rune was awarded for such a feat. The next fog gate brought me to a different section of the Volcano Manor, and I stayed there for a while, but once again, I didn't come up with anything useful. I returned to Liurnia and covered the extensive terrain and fought a mighty dragon. I also visited the Alvinorix village and fought Tanith's knight, who fell into the abyss and died miserably. This was also the moment in which I killed Vare, because I hate that son of a. This game is gorgeous. Every frame is a painting, man. I was a little fed up with Liurnia, and so, right at the back of Stormvale Castle, I decided to use the secret path to Limgrave. But I was about to discover that what I thought was going to be endless possibilities wasn't quite like that at all. A fog gate appeared between Liurnia and Limgrave. I sighed. It seems the very first area of the game was going to keep eluding me. Nevertheless, I warped to see what was on the other side, and I found a fearsome fire giant. Me and my girl Trish tried to take him out, but this dude was the tankiest motherfucker I've ever seen. And so I died a lot, quite frankly, before I was able to defeat the colossal fire beast. What a formidable fight. I decided to warp to the next place and keep advancing, when suddenly, just like lightning striking on a tree, my save file collapsed and was corrupted. Surely the backup wasn't from that much ago, right?
10 hours later.
This grinding to return to a similar point where the game crashed almost made this video vanish in thin air. So be grateful, because this shit has been so close to not seeing the light of day, I am honestly astonished we were able to upload it to YouTube. The first thing I did now that things were back in order was to use the warp of this well near the Church of Bows. Do you remember the time long ago when I told you that I wouldn't discover the Dragon Temple for hours, even though it was reachable since the first two? Yeah, it was time, and as you can see, I battled Maliketh without holding back, making him responsible for all my pain and suffering. When the servant of Queen Marika fell, I was rejoiced to find out there were 4 fog gates that I could freely explore, and maybe one of them could even bring me to the Erdtree. Well, we will have to find out someday later. Thank you for reaching the end of the video once again. I wanted to thank Weskis because he's editing this nightmare, and it has been huge and amazing, and I love it. And of course, part 3, the final part, will be up and running just real soon. So please check it out when it comes out. Thank you so much again for watching this. It has been an absolute delight, and as always, until we meet again.